Hello, everybody. Hello. Hold on. Hello, everybody. I'm back. I'm looking kind of crazy. I ain't got my headphones on. How y'all doing this evening? We're here to talk about a subject that possibly should have been talked about a long time ago. We talk about this subject of reparations. Now, reparations is a touchy subject when the folks you trying to get reparations from don't even want to talk about the problem, don't even want to address it. I saw a political cartoon and it really touched me. It had like a cartoon version of a survivor of the Tulsa massacre. And it said 100 years and we still waiting. The Japanese didn't have to wait that long after World War II, what happened to them when they were placed in internment camps during World War II. They didn't have to wait that long. We know about the Jews in the Holocaust. They got money across the board, man, for something that happened in Europe. And when you go in front of the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., it says never forget. But when you talk about what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921, people have selective memory. They forgot. They forgot that U.S. planes and folks burned down a whole community, burned it to the ground. When I hear people talk about 9/11, I go, yeah, 9/11 was a tragedy, but let's talk about what happened in 1921 on the same American soil. Or let's talk about what happened in 1923. Or let's talk about what happened in 1919 in several cities in the United States. Let's talk about Atlanta. Let's talk about Omaha. Let's talk about Washington, D.C. Yeah, race riot, yes, in Washington, D.C. You can look it up. Went on for 3 days. Matter of fact, the 100th anniversary of that was 2 years ago. Nobody talks about that. It's funny how when somebody mentions race, everybody want to shut up. Oh, we don't want to talk about that's over with. But I beg to differ because the 107-year-old survivor of the Tulsa massacre, when she spoke before Congress, she said, I don't ever forget that. I was 7 years old. And I watched everything that the people that I love build get burned to the ground. Burned to the ground, burnt to the crisp. And then when they tried to rebuild it, they enacted laws so they couldn't. And then when they really got around that, they put a freeway through it. They said, we want this wiped off the map. If you go up to Alachua County, where Gainesville is, with the University of Florida, you don't even hear. The only thing you see about Rosewood is a road marker. That's it. Whole community destroyed by evil and jealousy. But yet and still, when those folks said, hey man, land was taken from these folks, folks were killed, folks were damaged for the rest of their life, and the federal government just said, okay, my bad, sorry. That's sad, man. That's really, really sad. President Biden flew to Tulsa and spoke on it. But when people talk about massacres and everything else, they'll talk in Oklahoma, they'll talk about Oklahoma City all day long. They'll talk about April 19th, 1995 all day long. But May 30th, 1921, nobody wants to hear about that. That's real sad. Very, very sad. You know, while we worried about, Kwame Brown and his beef with a few dudes that played pretty much as long as he did. While we worried about that, we going back and forth with that. We're going back and forth about what happened with Charlemagne when the state of South Carolina pretty much said what they said. Hey, we ain't gonna prosecute it. If they said that they wasn't gonna do it, then people bringing it up now. And I'm saying, man, look, all this back and forth about who's the blackest, who's the whatever, that stuff, you need to take that somewhere else. And I'm talking to black people. The reason why a lot of our stuff doesn't get put on the forefront or on the table is because we too busy arguing with each other. We too busy saying, I'm the blackest. No, I'm the blackest. No, I'm the blackest. Or we running around hollering, I'm the Prince of Pan-Africanism. I'm the Prince of Pan-Africanism. Okay, we got it the first time, Umar. We got it the first time, who you are. You don't need to say it 3 times all the time. We heard you the first time. If you're the Prince of Pan-Africanism, then you need to sit down with other folks. We need to sit down and work this thing out. So we won't get keep getting swept up under the rug when we want to place our agenda. Everybody has nice talking points. But when it comes to our agenda and what we want, everybody is too busy arguing with one another. Stop all the arguing, man. You wonder why the LGBTQ community got their initiative out there? Because they came together and put that thing on the table. You wonder how the Asian Americans got their agenda, got Stop Asian Hate, because they came together and put it on the table. Every other group seems to come together and put their initiatives on the table and put their differences aside. We're the only group that don't do that. All we do is bicker and argue with each other about who did this. Yeah, Kwame, I'm going to say something about you, bro. You don't bother me. I've been on this earth a little bit longer than you have. You talk about sprinkling mom's cooking. I know you're doing what you need to do, but stop arguing with people who honestly you don't need to argue with. Do your thing, man. Do your thing. If you're working in your community doing your thing, then do your thing, bro. You ain't got to make a video every day, talk about whatever. Do your thing. Just do what you got to do, man. Instead of arguing with it, going back and forth with them brothers, sit down and talk to them brothers. That's what men do. Sit down and talk to them. Say, look, man, this ain't about neither one of us. This is about making us priority. All that little baggity bag and all that other stuff is about making us priority, man. Instead of us being an option. That's what we need to do. I ain't got nothing bad to say about none of y'all brothers. Y'all can go at Stephen A. Smith all you want to, but how you do that with that is you sit down and you talk to the brother, look him eye to eye, say, yo, man. Now, he sat there and named some of his friends, Will Kane and Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson. So you already know what that brother's bread is buttered. But instead of coming at him, we have to sit down with people who have a difference of opinion in us and look across the eye at them. I mean, Dr. King and Malcolm X sat across from each other. W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington sat down in front of one another and discussed their thing. Why is it that we can't do the same thing? Because we all want the same thing. I don't know. Because as long as we keep talking, Tulsa gonna keep on burning, if you know what I mean. But if we stop and say, no, man, you gotta look at it. You got a Congress that won't even, that voted against a commission about what happened on January 6th. So you know them people don't give a damn. Them people stormed there like they stormed the Bastille in France. They stormed that bad boy. Killed an officer. The officer's mother and his wife went to Congress to plead to them. Hey, man, we need to sit down and talk about what really happened. And they still shut it down. But see, we have to get in their faces about Tulsa, Rosewood, Washington, D.C., Nebraska. Why these things happen? We have to throw it in their face. We got to demand that. Because if they didn't want to sit down and discuss what happened at the Capitol, and they know what happened, 180 officers were injured. One officer lost his eye. One officer lost his life. Sometimes you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. Thank you.